Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are on Wednesday, September 15th, just a couple of minutes before market close. SoFi having a really nice day today. The analyst report came in, I think, after market close yesterday, and with the headline of SoFi stock could hit $28, says analyst. So here's the analyst here, Dan Dolev. Basically comes in buy rating, $28 price targets, near 85% profit over the course of the next year. And then he has some kind of funny things. This is worth a quick read if you have a minute. SoFi stock is so fine, and then he goes through this goofy kind of like bunch of fintechy lingo jargon sentence. But basically, he's focused a lot here on them growing revenue, obviously, but then talks about them branching out from just being focused on the loan aspect, which is predominantly driving their business, and not scaling that back, but adding into it all the other elements that would create this goofy sentence that he has here, but in simpler terms would create this one-stop shop that SoFi has sort of set out to do. And so interesting to see. Now, obviously, when I made my price target video, and as we've just talked about SoFi incessantly in these videos, we talk a lot about their expansive capabilities as well, too, and the clear advantages that would give them, their ability to cross-sell, to not have to pay to acquire more customers. They can just sell within their existing customer base and then just capture additional users from the outside world, bring them into that entire ecosystem, and then just cross-sell products and products and products. Obviously, the flip side of that, in my mind, and some of what, obviously, I have some concerns with SoFi, right? I think it could be a really cool company. I don't know if they can do it. That's the question that I still have. Yeah, the leadership team seems great, and they're making a lot of really good moves. As you know, I have questions around how much they're driving membership numbers. I talked about that in yesterday's video, and as well in my earnings reaction video. But the question here is they're trying to boil the ocean, right? They're taking on a big mandate here that they've put on themselves, and these are the bars, the expectations that people, investors, and retail investors, but also institutional investors, funds, are going to hold them to executing on this vision that early investors here are buying into. And the question, like I said, the double-edged sword is, yes, that creates a great storyline and a great vision, but next comes the hardest piece of the puzzle, which is you have to execute on unfolding that vision. You have to knock domino after domino after domino, and all of the crazy wackiness that will come up, and all the weird things that don't quite go the way that you want them to, and how do you evolve with those things? How do you iterate and adjust as needed? And obviously, it's a heavily regulated space too, right? And so that could breed its own level of challenges. But it's nice to see that basically this analyst focusing on that grand vision and saying, I think that they can do it, and here's what I would look for in the coming years. Talks a lot about the next 3 or 4 years, talks a lot about 2025 in here, and some of the increases that he's looking for, and why he thinks that gets SoFi to $28 relatively soon. Toward the end here, he talks about $800 million in annual sales today. SoFi will grow more than 3.5x over the next 4 years, reaching $3.7 billion in revenue by 2025. The analysts actually suggest there's a possibility SoFi could grow much faster than that, potentially hitting $4.4 billion in sales by 2023. That's quite a big spread there. $3.7 billion in 2025 is sort of the bullish scenario, but then they could have $700 million more than that 2 years sooner. So obviously, this, he seems very, very bullish on this, on their ability to roll out what it is that they say that their vision is. The analyst base, blah, 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 $1 billion in sales for 2020, and then grow 53% in 2022 to about 1.5 billion. And then a further 41% to 2.1 billion in 2023. So basically talking year over year over year, he points it out somewhere earlier in here. Yeah, 40% annually over the next 4 years. So he's saying that that's what investors can expect to see. So just remember that people who start to buy into these things, I don't know if there'll be any longevity to this analyst rating and what he is laying out here for folks to read, but if there is, that's going to be the bar to which SoFi is held. So as we go through earnings, we go quarter over quarter over quarter, these are what investors are going to be looking for. So if we look for big reactions one way or another from retail and or from institutions, just keep in mind that just like that grand vision can be a double-edged sword, so can these things, because the expectations are going to continue to raise. Now, I do think that there's probably going to be less of a raise of expectations unless SoFi starts to really, really move toward that $20 mark. So while it's sort of piddling around here in the mid-teens, I don't know that folks looking at $28 price target and what that would bring are going to be super, super tied into that unless SoFi at least gets within what feels like striking distance, I'll put in quotes, but just because it puts it in this range. But breaking over that $20 would be a huge psychological victory, psychological barrier, I think, to get through in order to really make moves that put us in the realm of feeling like this $28 is accomplishable in the near term, and then starts to skew the view of the investors toward, okay, what are the expectations that we have now that we're in this $20 range, right? We're in the 20s of dollars. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in the next few days, not the next few days, the next few months as we sort of close out the year here. Can we get any of that motion going? Now, just a quick check on the short interest, and then I want to pop back there for one more second. So very, very low. So we saw, swing up today, nice swing up. We didn't see shorts coming in to try to pile on and shove the stock back down. So that's good. The other thing that I think is just worth mentioning is, as we know, fresh IPO, lockups expired, and folks having abilities to sell along the way. And it's just interesting to note, and I know that we've talked about the buys and the sells a bit, and I put them in Sunday night's video and things like that. But even with sort of the freshness and folks wanting to cash in relatively soon, we do see here buy transactions outpacing sell transactions to the tune of double. Now, granted, folks have sold slightly more than they've bought, but I think that this is a really interesting stat to just keep an eye on, because like we've talked about in Sunday's video, we saw the sell orders there that we're talking about. Those are in the slideshow that we went over, the presentation, and like I said, at that point, those are people who are wanting potentially to buy a house or take some time off or pay for their kids' college, whatever it could be. They probably have planned for that money for quite some time and have stumbled along the way several times wondering if it would ever even hit their bank account or become a reality. So like I said, I don't begrudge that of anyone, but I do think it's interesting that with the expectations that you would have that folks would cash in some of those chips, some of those lotto tickets that they had bought or placed many, many years ago, it's interesting to see that almost to an equal degree, people are spending their money buying into SoFi in the face of that. So just something to consider as we work our way through. All right, so we are after close now, and we closed here at 15:45 today. We see ticking down a couple of pennies after close, but certainly nothing to really, be concerned about at the moment as far as I'm concerned. And nice volume today. So almost 26.5 million. Now, we were talking about the uptick in sell volume the last 3 days, and obviously this is here. Almost 17 million, over 20 million, and then 24.3 million. So today coming in 26.4 million, heavy buy volume. That's really, really great to see. Now, if we zoom, well, a couple of things while we're here. So just overall volume is increasing, right? So that's a really good sign, especially if we can tack on these green days. I don't know, we may need another catalyst coming in to continue the pressure, but who knows? There might be some inflection points here along the way as well, just from a technical standpoint. MACD, now this obviously is flipping the script on this a bit. It was looking like it wanted to throw a bearish crossover. It's still sitting below the baseline. We talked in, I don't know, some video, maybe several videos recently about it bouncing off the baseline, just not having the ability to breach the baseline recently. So maybe this will give it the push that it needs to not turn bearish. And not only that, but also maybe it'll allow it to push over the baseline, and we'll see what price strength that could bring in. Oh, I better plug this puppy in. And bear with me for a second. And we have everything happening at once. Computer dying, kids screaming, all the things are happening. All right, we're good to go on the battery front. So the other thing that this brings into play is this this top trend line, I should say, that's been sort of keeping keeping a lid on SoFi to the upside. Now we're pressing right up against that again today. Like literally the wick is like right there. So the question here becomes, as we compress ourselves within this uptrend and this downtrend, what's going to happen if it breaks? Now, maybe nothing, it doesn't have to do anything, but we could be setting ourselves up in a nice situation here for a breakout, especially if we can hold, if we do retest that 1502 level, if we can hold that and reconfirm that as support. I don't have a huge desire to do that, but that's just to say if it does. I would prefer that we just sort of break this trend line here and get back in the gap and see if we can then make a clear run at that 1629 resistance level and potentially relook at filling the gap. Now we're we're over a month from when that gap first formed. So I don't know that it would be filling it because of the gap, but we have seen, the buying pressure there previously. I do wonder if folks potentially start to take profit, especially as they go from feeling like bag holders. Capital's been tied up in there for a while, and they've just sort of been sitting on sidelines waiting it out. I do wonder the extent to which any volume comes in meaningful numbers to add selling pressure in, as folks may flip from red to green if we do start to work our way through this gap. But just something to consider as we work our way through. Now in the order flow today, we do see a nice jump up in large scale orders, no large outflow today. So everyone was happy to jump in today. Yeah, probably some profit taking here as well from the medium and the small orders. So interesting that they're jumping out quite heavily, but the large scale inflow was there for today. Now, if we just take a quick look just to cap things off at the daily, since we've been doing this recently, we're starting to nudge, right? We're nudging right at the precipice of that gap, which starts at 1551, and we reached 1550 today, and went really, really strong into close. So nice bounce right off the VWAP. We can get rid of these MAs right off the VWAP, and just carried on its merry way. So I'll be looking for that to hold. If we do have another strong uptick tomorrow, those tests of the VWAP and strong bounces are really, really nice to see. Shows that the volume and the buying pressure is there, and it picks up at those key inflection points. All right, folks, so I think that will do it for this video. I certainly appreciate you watching. Trying to see where we are on the MAs. Okay, we're also butting head, sorry, just really quickly on this 50 MA. So that's the next thing. And we do see the 20 starting to curl now. So that's the thing that I was complaining about all throughout this time frame, was that 20 was not curling toward the 50. I felt like we needed that bullish crossover to come into play in order to really try to carry us through the gap. So I still think that that's the case. And now it's started to curl after today's action. So we could see that playing out here in the coming days, maybe several days into next week, but we'll have to keep a tight eye on it and see if we get pushback and profit taking after this day, or if we can actually string something together that gets us moving in a nice direction. All right, folks, so I hope that you are having a nice trading day and that you can finish the week strong over the next couple of days. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.